If you could review any food spot in the world, where would it be?
I mean, I don't have an actual place, but I would love to do a review with Dave Portnoy. I started doing the food reviews because of Dave Portnoy.
If you could share one piece of advice with first-time homeowners, what would it be?
Get someone in your corner that actually knows the market. There's a ton of great realtors in the greater Tulsa area that love working with first-time home buyers. I like working with first-time home buyers because they're new to it. They don't know. Like, I like teaching. I like educating.
Welcome to Green Country Conversations, the podcast where we hear about the stories and learn about the people that truly make Northeast Oklahoma special. I'm your host, Maverick Pitchford, owner of Bison Ridge Insurance, and today we're going to have on a guest who has mastered the blending of technology, social media, and real estate. But first, I want to take a minute and thank our sponsors.
Someday this podcast will have a sponsor. Someday a business will see the brilliance of the Green Country Conversations podcast and say, yes, I want to be a part of that magical podcast. Today is not that day, but it could be. If you're a business owner looking for a way to get your name out there to more people, please reach out to me at maverick@bisonridgeinsurance.com and let's talk about the portion of you sponsoring this podcast. Thanks.
Today's guest is Stephen Hester. Known online as the 918 agent, Stephen is a local real estate agent with Caldwell Banking Select, specializing in helping first-time home buyers and sellers navigate the market. His innovative approach includes leveraging social media platforms like TikTok, where he shares content related to local food, community events, and real estate. With over 100,000 followers across all platforms and over 500,000 likes, he has made a name for himself as both a community advocate and a real estate expert. Stephen also runs a YouTube channel, Stephen Talks Oklahoma, where he dives deeper into Tulsa life, real estate market trends, and local attractions. Whether he's helping an out-of-state buyer find their dream home or hosting free webinars for the first-time home buyers, Stephen has refined his process of being a modern real estate agent. Stephen, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming, man.
Man, thank you for having me. Did you plug all that in ChatGPT?
Heck yeah, dude. Why would I not?
I was about to say that sounded good.
Dude,
Good.
I leverage anything I can to make my job easier.
Yeah. Have you heard about these new AI voice things yet?
No.
Dude, so you can make a call, like you can have like a business call.
Yeah.
And they can literally talk to an AI person and get information. Like,
it's crazy.
I just tried one yesterday.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like, she corrected me on saying her name wrong.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Like, she was like, "Oh, hey, my name's Emma."
Yeah.
And I was like, what did I say? And she told me what I said. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And she's
That's
like, it's
so
okay.
crazy.
And
That's
I'm like
crazy.
having a conversation with an AI person. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was just on a call yesterday with a guy in my industry, and he's really big on video. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm actually going down for surgery. I'll be down for about a month or so. I'm not worried about my content though. I have an AI video platform that's going to use it." And he was like, I showed it to my kids, and they were almost convinced it was me. And I was like, "That's crazy, dude.
It's crazy. AI is the truth right now, man.
They're coming for all of our jobs."
Yes, they are.
Okay, let's get into some icebreaker questions.
Yep.
I feel like this one's perfect for you. If you could review any food spot in the world, where would it be? Or what would it be? Do you have like a grand, like you're like, if I could review there, it would be that?
I mean, I don't have an actual place, but I would love to do a review with Dave Portnoy.
That's so funny, dude. I was just thinking
guest.
that would be amazing.
That's actually the reason why I started doing the food reviews because of Dave Portnoy.
That's so funny.
And I kind of just changed it a little bit of how I review it because it was like, I always wish Dave would show the inside of the place.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to do like Dave Portnoy, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I love how, his are cool, obviously. He has a big personality, right? But I wish he would do other, I get the pizza. I get it. It's a pizza review, but I wish he would do other things. And I know he does sometimes, but I love his stuff. His stuff is
it's great.
His content is, he's one of those guys that I'll consume everything he puts out and just enjoy it.
He's just can naturally talk to the camera and be entertaining. I can't do that. I have to really work at it. But,
yeah, me too. I sound like I'm stumbling over my words. I don't know how to talk. What's been the most unexpected or funny thing that's happened while making a TikTok? So kind of along the lines of Dave Portnoy, have you ever had something happen where, he's had people jump in his videos and gone crazy viral because they've been, super funny? Maybe not something that extreme, but have you ever had something happen where you're like, well, I didn't expect that to happen, and making the video?
No, I guess I'm pretty lucky. I haven't had anything too crazy happen in one of my videos. Probably the craziest thing is the amount of trolls I have are crazy. Actually, here's a funny story. So I did did a food review over in Claremore at a place called Libby's,
Uh-huh.
or Gibby's. Sorry,
Yeah.
Gibby's. Yeah,
That's
Gibby's.
the Southern food, right? Southern
Yep,
eatery.
yep.
I want to
Southern
go there.
Cajun food,
Yeah.
and I didn't know how to pronounce boudin. Which, if you and so what I do, and people think I do this all the time, and actually, this is a good platform to tell people I don't mispronounce words on purpose. It
They
is
think you do it.
100% by accident. I've
Yeah.
only done it one time on purpose, is when I pronounced Sapulpa and I pronounced it Sapalupa, which I told people at the end of the video, like, hey, I did that on
Yeah,
purpose.
it's
I
a
know it's
joke.
so anyway, so I use a thing called Google Pronounce. So if I
Uh-huh.
type in, if I don't know how to pronounce a word, I type it into Google and it, asks for it to pronounce, and it'll
Yeah.
tell me how to pronounce it. Like, it has a AI person that'll tell me how to pronounce it. And so I typed it in there and it said Boudin. Like, that's how to pronounce Boudin. So I was like, all right, great, I'm good. So I said the video, and you thought I said like a unforbidden
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
People just smoked me in the
That's
comment
crazy.
section. Yeah,
That's
people were
crazy.
super offended. So I
That's
actually had to come
insane.
out with a apology video and apologize to people
That's so
about
funny, dude.
which it was all satire. I didn't really
Right.
mean
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, trolls are interesting, right? I posted a video yesterday and or yeah, it was one of my videos I posted yesterday and he was like it said something about you need a quote and he said you need better marketing and I just commented back. I was also in a very frustrated mood, so I should not have done this. I'm putting the preface out there.
I
But I
do
commented back and I was like I said, thank you for your advice. Please send me your marketing page so I can follow along for more tips and tricks. And he was like, oh man, I should have said that. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. And I was like, all right, dude, like let's just move on then. If that's
Well,
how we're gonna be.
you actually responded the best way, and this is actually one of the tips that I do on my videos. Is if I have someone that gives me like a negative comment, I always first off, I respond, I type it in something super nasty and mean back, and
Yeah,
then I don't send it, I delete it,
yeah,
and then I just basically say something nice back to them,
yeah.
and then I pin that comment to the
That's
top of
awesome.
my comment page. So
That's so cool.
when people so like if you go look at my newest one, I did one about a lighting Christmas light show,
Uh-huh.
and so I pinned that comment, and it actually helps with my engagement because all the people that actually like watching my content
Yeah,
will go and comment on that comment,
they
or
go to
like,
war for you.
yeah, they will.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
If you had to explain Tulsa's essence to someone who had never been here before, how would you describe it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I deal with a lot of out of state buyers, so
Yeah,
this is one of the questions I get quite a bit. So what I tell people is it's like a smaller Nashville, a smaller Austin vibe.
yeah,
It's obviously a metropolitan area, but it has that small town feel.
hmm
It's easy to get around, and it also has a lot to offer. And so when people ask me like, "Hey, what do you mean by a smaller Austin?" And what I tell people is it's very we have a lot of art, we have a lot of culture here. We have microbreweries, we have a little bit of a music scene. We have a thriving downtown Tulsa now, which is insane. I
yeah,
mean, you grew up here, so you knew
yeah.
back in 2010 and before it was a
hmm
ghost town, and
Yeah, it's
now it's
crazy.
like it's
And I
it's
feel like
insane.
every time I go down there, there's something new that I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, I know. And then
It's
people
crazy.
actually live downtown now. Like, what the
Yeah,
heck?
it's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's insane. So, it's a really cool spot. The traffic isn't super bad yet, like in those big metropolitan
hmm
areas
Yeah.
that I listed, like Austin and Nashville. Housing isn't super expensive.
hmm
So, I mean, it's like I said, it's like a smaller Nashville, Austin vibe.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
It's
It's
such a
great.
it's such a good way to explain it because I do feel like that it's trending towards that side rather than the other way, right? Like we're
Right.
trending upwards towards one of those more cities that are kind of popping off. So I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. What's the most surprising question or misconception you've heard about real estate?
That I'm gonna wait for the perfect time to buy. My wife told me this quote, so I think she made it up, but I know she didn't make it up. But we were talking about one time. Oh, we were talking. I remember the reason why she told me this quote is I got into real estate in 2020, and the market was booming, right?
Yeah.
And I said, man, I wish I got into real estate like 3 years ago before the market boom because I would already have a built up
hmm
clientele. And she said, Stephen, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, that's a great quote. I'm going to steal that and use it for everything now. So when I have clients that called me back in 2020 and was like, hey, you know, the housing prices are insane right now. I understand the interest rates are low, but, you know, I'm going to wait. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then now those same people call me and it's like, hey, man, the interest rates are super high and
Right.
the houses are going to go down in value eventually. I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So they could have bought a house back in 2020, got a low interest rate and have these low monthly payments. Now they have these high prices that they think are going to get lower. And so in my opinion, there's probably never a great time, like a perfect time. I wouldn't say great time. I would say a perfect time to buy real estate. But the beautiful thing about real estate is that the market trend has always been going in an upward manner in the last 30 years.
Right.
We had a little bit of a dip back in 2008, but it rebounded.
Right.
And also with the interest rate standpoint is, I mean, we'll probably never see it. In my personal opinion, I'm not
Yeah.
some analyst of of the economy and anything like that. So take this with 2 grains of salt. But I don't think we'll ever see a interest rate sub 3% like we did.
Right.
I think we'll probably get back into that 4% range, in the next couple of years. But you can always refinance. So
For
what
sure.
I tell people is that there's no perfect time to buy, but also make sure you buy something that you can afford, that you're not drowning in your monthly payment when it is high. So
Yeah.
buy something within your means.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I mean you just answered my next question. So if you could share one piece of advice with first time homeowners, what would it be? Sounds like maybe it's, don't overspend, don't go house broke, those type of things, just because you want the cool Instagram post. Because for my age group, like I'm in my 20s, right? Everyone's worried about, hey, what can I post on social media, those type of
Right.
things. And yeah, social media is great. Obviously, we both agree with that, but don't put yourself in a real life situation where you're buying a house you can't afford because of just that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so for like a first time home buyer, what I would say is exactly what I just said before is just buy within your means.
Hmm.
Also get someone in your corner that actually knows the market. There's a ton of great realtors in the greater Tulsa area that love working with first time home buyers. I like working with first time home buyers because they're new to it. They don't know.
Hmm.
Like I like teaching, I like educating. So something else that I would tell a first time home buyer is basically to look at all the different programs. So like, you got the conventional loan, you got the FHA loan, you got the USDA loan, you got some home buyer, first time home buyer type of loans that people can use. So I would say really, really talk to a lender that knows those type of things,
Right.
that will be able to kind of help you use those. I think another misconception that a lot of first time home buyers have is like, dang, dude, I got to have a whole bunch of money to buy my first house. I need to have 20% down.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, having 20% down is great. If you have that, awesome. But if you
Yeah.
don't have that, you can still get into a house and have less.
Hmm.
There's some other things that you'll have to do with that, but you can still get in a house. When me and my wife bought our home back in 2016, we probably had no business buying a home because we had little to no money.
Hmm.
But we were able still to get a home because we utilized a really cool loan called a USDA loan, which is a
Right.
rural development loan where you can do 0% down and buy a home. And we also asked the seller to pay for our closing costs. So this was insane. But when we went to the closing table, we didn't have to bring any money to the closing table.
That's
And
awesome.
we actually got a check because of how the taxes were prorated. We got a check for $265. Like we got money to buy a home.
Yeah.
It was insane. I mean,
Yeah,
it all
that's awesome.
evened out. It all
Right.
evened out, obviously. But it's just kind of funny that kind of happened for us. But
That's super cool. I mean, that's great advice. What are the biggest challenges that first-time homebuyers face, and how do you typically help them overcome them?
yeah, so just knowing the process of what a transaction is. So a lot of people, a lot of first time home buyers, when they get under or when they find a house that they love and they want to put it under contract, they don't realize that right when you put in an offer that there's a whole bunch of other steps that you need to do. So there's actually a whole 30-day escrow process of, what is earnest money? what does inspections are like? What is an appraisal like? I have to get insurance. Like,
Yeah.
how do I do that? So there's a whole bunch of different steps within a transaction that you need help on. I mean,
Uh-huh.
in the lifetime of somebody, you probably are going to purchase maybe anywhere from 3 to 5 houses in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Versus I do 3 to 5 houses in a month.
Yeah.
So, like, you want someone in your corner that knows the process and is able to kind of maneuver you and help you through that
Yeah.
process. So, I would probably just saying have someone in your corner that knows the process and being able to know what to do during the transaction
Yeah.
of a home.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, I see that from my standpoint. I talk to people all the time who don't understand the insurance process or even simple things like don't understand the billing process of home. They're like, well, I can't change my homeowner's insurance. Well, we can. I mean, we do it multiple times a day. It's not a huge deal. Let us use our expertise to make that easy on you, right?
Right.
And a couple episodes ago, William Gomez, I mean, we're mutual friends with him. Obviously, you know him. He mentioned that in the process of selling a home or closing a deal, I think he said 30 to 40 people are involved. And, there's two people that you need to make sure are really knowledgeable, right? Your lender and your realtor. And that's exactly what you're speaking towards, right? You're saying that
Right.
they can't approach it without having, kind of a guide, a coach to get them through the process. So I think that's
Yep.
super helpful. And, when someone has someone like you to do that for them, it makes the process not as stressful as it usually would be.
Right. Exactly.
So what's one success story that stands out to you from working with a first-time home buyer? Do you have someone who maybe was
Oh man.
convinced they wouldn't be able to buy a home, or the deal went sideways and you came in
Ooh.
and used all your superpowers that you have and fixed the problem? You got a story for that?
I've had several. But one that comes to mind is I had a client that found me on YouTube. They're moving from Kansas. He's a veteran, a disabled veteran, and he called me and basically said, "Hey, Steven, we're in town. I know this is very last minute, but we been looking around at rentals. We want to get out of Kansas. We want to move to the Tulsa area, but we're having a tough time finding rentals. Is there any way that you could kind of help us or sit down with us and give us some advice?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem. You guys want some pie?" And
Yeah.
so we met at Black Bear in Owasso, RIP Black Bear. It's no longer here. But so we sat down and had a slice of pie. And I said, "So why are you guys moving? Like, what's happening?" And they're like, "Well, actually, we're under contract on our house in Kansas. We're not really looking to buy, but we're not against it."
Mhm.
And I said, "What are you guys kind of looking for?" And they're like, "Oh, we couldn't afford anything around here. Like, we're sub 200,000, and we're basically just looking for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, on a little bit of land with no HOA." And I said, "Huh. Actually, I have a house that I am about to list that is right up your alley."
Yeah.
They're like, "Really?" So I said, let's go take a look at it." So we went and took a look at it. The sellers were more than happy to sell it to them. And so basically I was able to get them into a house. My clients were super happy because they got their house under contract that they can go buy another house. And so it was really, really cool. They were over the moon. They're like, "Steven, we never thought in our life that we would be able to afford something this nice."
That's amazing.
I'm
I mean,
like,
and I think that
yeah.
speaks to the power of using someone who is knowledgeable in the process like you, someone who's a problem solver, right? Because you saw a problem and you're like, oh, hey, I have a solution for this problem. Let's make it work on both sides. And so, to the people listening, you need to
Yeah.
make sure you work with someone who is very knowledgeable in the process.
And then here's one more for you, real quick. I'll tell
Yeah,
this story
definitely.
because it was my first transaction. It was Shelby and Chris's. I love them. They trust me to be the person that lists their house. That was my first house I ever listed,
That's amazing.
and it was actually the second sell because I helped them sell their house and then buy a house. Well, we were doing our final walkthrough that morning of the house of this house, and we're walking through it, and the ceiling fan light and the ceiling fan wasn't working in the living room. Um, and they looked at me and was like, "Steven, we can't close on this house. We don't know if there's an electrical issue or what's
Yeah.
going on with the ceiling fan, but it's not working." And I said, "Yeah, no problem. I'll take care of it." So we were supposed to close in 3 hours, and they're like, "We're not signing till it gets fixed." I'm like, "Okay." I mean, and this is like my second transaction.
Yeah.
I don't know what the frick I'm doing, right? So I called the buying agent or the selling agent, and she's like, "Oh, let me talk to my seller." And the seller said, "I ain't fixing nothing. I moved out. I'm done. They can buy it
Yeah.
or not. I don't care." And I'm like, "What the frick is going on?"
Yeah.
What? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I called an electrician. I said, "Hey, I need you to get over here right now." So he came over and he said, "Hey, this ceiling fan, the motor burned up on it because it was installed improperly. The
Oh,
wires are
wow.
fine, but it needs to be repaired." So
Yeah.
I called back the seller and I was like, "Hey, the ceiling fan's not working. Like this is what the electrician said." "Okay, let me call the seller." Seller said, "I ain't fixing nothing, nothing." And I'm like, "What the frick?" So I found the same ceiling fan at Home Depot. Went and bought it, gave it to the electrician. He installed it, called my client, said, "Hey, it's fixed. It's great." Um, I don't, yeah, I did tell him because I said, "Hey, your move-in present was a new ceiling fan. Congratulations."
Yeah, that's
And they're
awesome.
like, "Did you pay for it?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, it's your move-in present."
Yeah,
But,
yeah. That's amazing. Problem solvers. Like I said, you're a problem solver.
yeah, so
That's
that was
amazing, man.
a fun one.
Such a great story. Well, I'd like to get into a little bit more of the social media stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's super engaging for people. I think they find it interesting, especially for people who maybe aren't in the business world and don't understand how you can couple the two together, right? So, how is TikTok primarily, as you're there as the 918 agent? How has it helped you connect with clients and grow your business? You can either talk about just TikTok because I know that's
Yeah.
maybe the one you blew up on first, or you can talk about all of them, whatever you think. But just how has that helped you with your business in general?
I mean, that's where 90% of my business comes from is
Yeah,
from social media. And I'll just kind of say social media as
yeah.
umbrella term because
Right,
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube has all helped my business tremendously. When I first got in the industry, I was lucky enough that I helped market other businesses, and
right.
I was part of some other startups in the fitness industry. So I understood that with real estate, the big chunk of it is lead generation of where you're going to get your next lead, how
Yeah.
you're going to get your next lead. And so I knew that was going to be what I needed to do was, get leads. And now how I wanted to get leads was the other thing. So, traditionally real estate agents did farming, their COI, cold calls, Zillow leads, door knocking, and all that sounded horrible for me. I was like, that sucks. I don't want to do any of that. That's horrible.
Right.
But what I did like doing is I liked messing around with videos. I mean, I wasn't really big on social media. I didn't really post before getting
Right.
into real estate, but I kind of liked the idea of it. Of basically, I knew everybody's attention is to their phones. Like if you
Uh-huh.
go to a restaurant, or if you're waiting in a waiting room, look around. Everybody is on their phone, and I
Right.
bet you probably 80% of them are on some sort of social media. So I
Right.
already knew I had their attention because they're already there. So, so I started doing social media at the very first day of when I got into real estate with YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. My content has evolved over time because I've
Yeah.
kind of figured out what I liked. Anybody that's thinking about getting into social media for their business, what I recommend to do is you're not going to be perfect at it, but
Hmm.
just post. It's going to come to you or organically of what you like to post over time, but you need to just start posting stuff, and then you can figure out what your niche is or what you're good at, what style video you're good at over time. So,
Yeah.
so that's what I would say about that of posting. But clients watch my videos, they get to know me, and then when they're ready to buy, they always think, "Oh, wait, I just saw Steven's video. He's a
Yeah.
realtor. He seems like a really cool guy. I want to
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
him." And then they'll reach out to me in the DMs, and we start working together.
That's
So,
amazing. I
yeah,
love, I don't know which of your platforms says this, it may be all of them, but one of your bios says, something to the effect of real estate agent, accidental, or, something influencer.
that's
So
on
funny to
Facebook.
me
Yeah,
because I know your story and I'm like, it's so funny because that's exactly what happened, right? Like you
yeah,
started this to grow your business and then it kind of became a business in itself. And it's super
yep.
cool to see that. What has been the most rewarding interaction or opportunity that social media content has provided for you?
Oh shoot, this is funny. So, so I also have a podcast that I've taken a little bit of break on, but it's the People of Oklahoma podcast, and I
Yeah.
had now elected mayor. I think he just sworn in yesterday, so he might be the official mayor now.
Yeah.
Monroe Nichols on my podcast, and so I got to talk to him, and
It's amazing.
all that good stuff. But we made a bet that if he gets a Tulsa tattoo, I would get a Tulsa tattoo, and I now have a
That's so awesome.
Tulsa tattoo. So I have a matching tattoo with the mayor of Tulsa now.
Yeah.
But we were able to do a really cool thing with the Be Heard movement, which is a nonprofit here in Tulsa that helps with homeless. It's a mobile shower
Cool.
nonprofit for the homeless, and they're able to help get them showers, laundry, casework, housing. So it's really cool. So me and Monroe Nichols were able to do something really cool with them to help them raise money. So that was a really cool thing.
That's awesome.
That I was able to help out with social media. And then also the other thing is all the other small businesses. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gone to a bunch of small businesses that I didn't know were struggling at the time, but they were over the moon. They're like, Steven, we sold out of burgers, or we sold out of food after one of your videos, and I'm like, dude, that is awesome. Like that.
Yeah.
Just makes me,
That Stephen Hester bump. That's awesome, man. That's cool.
I mean, it doesn't happen all the time,
Right? Yeah,
Some
for sure.
videos take off. Some of
Yeah.
them don't. I mean, I'm not like a mega influencer like a Keith Lee that
Yeah.
anything he touches turns to gold. But it happens every now and then. Something
Right.
pop off, and that business.
Well, I think it's also relative to the area we live in, right? I
Yeah.
mean, for our area, we talked about it the other day. I mean, people, I was telling someone that I knew you, and they were like, "You know him? What? That's crazy." And you're like, to you, that's no big deal, right? You're like,
Yeah.
I'm just me. I'm just doing what I do. But for people who see your videos all the time, it's very easy to, create a persona or make someone a celebrity in your eyes because you watch their content all the time, right? And so it's cool that you're able to use that to help our small communities and our small businesses in a way that probably if you were just Stephen Hester, the real estate agent, like you wouldn't really be able to do that. You know what I mean? So I think it's
Right.
super cool that you do that.
No, man, thank you. That's a huge
for sure.
compliment.
Yeah. So I know you have your YouTube channel, you have your podcast. How does your YouTube channel, Stephen Talks Oklahoma, how does it relate or complement all of your other social media? Do they intertwine? What's kind of your process with that?
Yeah, so all my social media platforms hit a different demographic. So this is
Right.
the way I break it down to people. Is my TikTok hits that younger generation that's going to be looking to buy houses here in the next probably 5 years. So it's like Gen Alpha, Gen X or Z. I forgot what it is. Instagram is more my millennial audience, which the millennials are really, really funny because they just want to be part of everything. Because I'm part of the millennials, right? So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. Like we just want to be in everything, right? We want to be the new hip people. So, but Instagram's more my millennial, and then Facebook's more my baby boomers and the generation right before then. And then my YouTube is my generation that just hates social media.
Yeah.
Because they don't, like people that watch me on YouTube, I ask them like, "Oh, do you guys have Facebook or Instagram?" They're like, "No, we hate social media." I'm like, oh, okay, but you're on YouTube. So that's social media. Kind of.
Yeah.
So, and then also my YouTube is also for my out-of-state buyers,
Right.
or people that are looking to move here that are more search engine optimization, of like trying to look for something or trying to learn something. So they're most likely trying to learn what Tulsa is or what it's about, what it has to offer. So that's how they find me. It's a lot better with the search engine optimization part of it than TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So when I first started, I started with YouTube, and I built a big audience of people looking to move out of state. And then people would come and see me and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you're some sort of celebrity here." And I was like, actually, I'm really not, because I hadn't really started posting a lot more on my Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok yet.
The stuff that was going to hit locally.
Right. Stuff that was going to hit locally. So that's when I started helping all these out-of-state buyers. I was like, man, I need to build more of my local presence and my local brand. And so that's when I really started focusing on my short form content of how I was going to maneuver that. And I just started posting random stuff. And then over time, gradually with consistency, it just kind of took off.
Yeah.
So started with YouTube, out-of-state people, people that don't like social media. And then it kind of just
That's super
grow
cool.
over time of just me working it and looking at it of how I
That's
wanted to
amazing.
grow my brand.
So, do you have a typical strategy that you use to try to stay authentic and engaging to your clients? Is it you're just being yourself? What's kind of your approach to that?
Yeah, I just try to give my honest opinion on different things of here in Tulsa. I think I'm a little bit different than other influencers because first off, I'm a dude. I mean,
Yeah,
there's not really many guy influencers out there,
yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest. And then secondly, um, I mean, I don't make a lot of money from social media
Right.
because I give my honest opinion on stuff. The way I look at it is if someone's looking to buy a house, they want them to be honest with them,
Hmm.
right? So what I mean, I got to be honest with my food reviews too,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, that means if you have to go somewhere and say the mashed potatoes aren't very good, you have to go there and say the mashed potatoes aren't very good.
right, aren't very good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not gonna trash any
Yeah,
business,
yeah,
right?
for
So I
sure.
mean, there's been a couple of places I've walked in and I'm like, "Oh, this is horrible." I'm just not gonna post a video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. I mean, but there's other times where there's something that's really good on the menu, but there's something that's really bad on the menu. And so I'll,
Yeah,
give it its praises and also say like I didn't like this. And also everything's my personal opinion too,
right.
right? So,
Yeah.
some people might like that burger, some people like I might not like it, or so I
Yeah,
might like it and someone else might hate it.
for
So,
sure. No, yeah.
it's just my personal opinion.
That's super
So,
awesome. Yeah, I think the fact that you are authentic about that is why people, take what you say and say, "Oh, I'm going to go try this," because you're not giving every single place like, "Oh, this is 10 stars," no matter what. I don't care what you say. Like you're like you said, this is my opinion on it. You may not agree, you may agree, you may disagree, but it's my opinion, and I'm going to, be honest about it at all times.
yeah.
Have you
And here's a
noticed that?
little trick with my videos.
Yeah.
If I do not give it a score, I got paid.
Oh,
That's the way
really?
to tell. Yeah. So I
That's
don't
super cool.
if I get paid for a video, I don't give it a score.
Yeah.
So
Because you're like, because I feel like what you're saying is that because if you're getting paid, you can't give an authentic score because you're not going to be like, "Oh, these mashed potatoes
right.
are garbage." You know what I mean?
Right,
Like if you
exactly.
got
So
paid, exactly.
if I ever get paid for a video, I will not give it a score.
That's super
So
cool to know.
that's
Little,
one of my things that I tell the company that's hiring me.
yeah. Look at
I'm
us
not
at
going to
Green Country
score.
Conversations. We're getting a peek behind the
Yep,
curtains
that's
of
right.
the
That's
of the
right. So if you
918
ever see a
agent. That's
video,
awesome, dude. That's awesome.
there's no score,
Have
you're
you
getting
noticed
paid.
whenever you're walking in, let's say you're just going to a restaurant, right? You're not planning on doing a video, or maybe you are planning on doing a video, but you're showing up unannounced. Have you noticed where people are starting to be like, "Oh, hey, that's Steven. He does the food review videos." Have you seen that at restaurants at all?
I mean, I've had some people that came up to me and say, "Hey, like,
Did you
I
like the
watch your
food?
videos."
Yeah,
And actually, yeah, I did have a restaurant recently. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I had my waiter didn't know who I was, but one of the other waiters came up and
yeah.
said, "Hey, I would get this,"
That's
and I
cool.
was like, "Okay, all right, I'll try it
Yeah,
out. I'll
that's
try it out."
cool. That's super cool.
So yeah, yeah. So I've had people though that I walk into a restaurant. I usually get noticed probably about once a day
Really?
when I'm out and about. Yeah.
That's super cool,
So
man. That's awesome.
I used to be so awkward at it. I
Yeah.
mean, here's a funny story. So I was out looking at houses, and these two guys in this truck drive by this house as I was locking up. And my clients already left, and they were like, they rolled down the window, and this is the first people that ever noticed me. They rolled down their window, and they're like, "Hey, are you the burger guy that does the burger TikToks?" And this is the first time I've ever got noticed, like out in
Yeah.
public. So I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And so I like ran up to their truck and I started talking to them, like, "So, like, do you guys like want like a picture of me?" And they're like, "No, we just wanted to say hi." And I was like,
That's so funny.
"Oh, can I get a picture with you?" And they're like, "Yeah." So
That's
I took a
hilarious.
picture with them while they're in their truck because, like I said, those are the first people that ever
Yeah.
noticed me out in
That's
public.
super funny.
And so that is the last time I've ever asked someone if they wanted to get a picture with me because I was super embarrassed. I was like,
I'm
'cause
sure.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know
Yeah,
what to
for
say.
sure.
Like I was like, I'm probably more starstruck than they are because I'm like, you actually noticed me.
Yeah, that's so funny,
So
dude.
so
That's a
I have
hilarious
gotten a
story.
lot better. I have gotten a lot
Yeah.
better.
I mean, it's crazy because obviously we have the video we did together, I don't know, probably over a year ago now. And I mean, all the time people will be like, I mean, obviously not as often as it happens to you, but even in our small community, people are like, "Hey, did you do that video with that food review guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that was me." And no, I don't, I'm not a ballerina. I don't,
And and that's so funny because that's what I do with like my buddies that I go out and
Yeah.
do videos with. Like anytime you see a video that I do with Will, I
Hmm.
always call him Willie
Yeah.
So like anytime I do a video with Will, it's always Willie.
Yeah.
And then when I did the video with you, I always poke fun at my
Yeah, for
friends
sure.
in the video because people like I don't know if people don't understand like my sense of humor, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I'm like dry and
Yeah,
I
for
like
sure.
so it's like people don't know if I'm kidding or not.
I think it's
So
hilarious. And
yeah.
then I think the comments are even funnier.
Oh yeah.
Because I think you said in our video, you're like, he didn't play sports in high school. Can you believe that? The comments are like, I played with him or I played against him in high school. I'm
Yeah.
like, he's joking. It's a joke.
He's kidding.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think I called you a tap dancer in that one
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Tap dancer.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Not a
Yeah.
boundary. Yeah, yeah.
And you got a phone call from someone asking
Yeah, I
about
did.
getting your services for tap dancing.
Yeah, he was like, "Can I get tap dance?" He left a voicemail on our business number and everything. Called him back, wouldn't respond because I was like, I was going to play along with the joke, but I don't think he thought I was going to call him back. So then he was like, "Oh no!" Like,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. So super funny.
that's funny.
Let's shift back to real estate a little bit.
Yeah.
What are some unique challenges you have noticed working with out-of-state buyers that maybe aren't the same as an in-state buyer?
Oh man, this is a great question. This is actually a really, really good question. So when I started, when I got into real estate, it was in 2020, so the market was super hot, right?
Yeah.
And these people are either selling their house or need to be down here. But these houses that were going on the market were going off the market so fast because
Hmm.
you know the industry was super competitive at that time. It was on fire. And so my clients weren't able to drive down here or get a flight fast enough to look at these houses. And, you know, there wasn't a lot of inventory. So if they did come down here, they're only coming down here for one house. So I had to learn how to give my client the most knowledge as possible while they're not here. So I have developed a method or a
Hmm.
process to help my client do that. So I actually videotape the entire property and send it to them that they can watch it and they can watch it multiple times. And so by doing that process, it has grown over of what I do. So like I know a lot of other realtors, they'll film a property and it might be 3 minutes long and they'll send it. I'm like, dude, these people are about to buy a
Yeah.
three
A
hundred
house.
thousand dollar
Yeah,
house
yeah,
and you send them a 3 minute
yeah,
video.
yeah,
Like that's insane.
yeah.
So I go in and my videos are first off shot in 4K. Like I
Hmm.
mean it's the crispest that I can get it. And then secondly, depending on the square footage, like some of my videos are like 20 to 30 minutes long. Like
Right.
I go in and so like for example, I had one client that was like, "Hey, can you tell me how big that room is cuz I want to make sure my bed can fit." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay." So what I did was I got a tape measure and I like drew a diagram and I was like, "Man, this took way too long." And I found one of my other clients that was in town had a digital measuring tape. And I'm like,
Oh, cool.
what the frick is that? And they're like, oh, it's a digital measuring tape. Like you just put it on the wall and it tells you the measurement. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So I went and bought one. And so now in all my videos, like when I'm looking at a room, I go ahead and get the measurements for them. So because
That's super cool.
I know a client that might have a couch. They're like, oh, I
Yeah.
wonder if my couch would fit up against that wall.
Right.
So when I'm looking at a wall, I'll be like, all right, going this way, it's 15 feet 5 inches. Going the
Yeah.
opposite way, it's 17 feet 6 inches.
Yeah.
So I'm able to do that with that. Also, because I've done so many deals already, I kind of know I'm not an inspector, in which I say that in every single one of my videos. I'm not an inspector, but I know some of like the little things that inspectors look for that I can give my client a little bit more knowledge about the property. So I'll look at the hot water tank. I'll look at the breaker box. I'll look at the AC unit and give them the serial numbers so they can see when it was, you know, how old it is.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I look at all those different things. And then the other thing is I'll open up cabinets. I open up drawers. I look, you know, I look in all the closets because I
Hmm.
want them to know what they're about to put under contract with
Yeah.
their best ability and best knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, I think
So,
like you said, it's a giant purchase, and it
oh, it's a
it
giant
it, it warrants more than a 3 to 5 minute video, right?
it's insane because
Yeah.
I was talking to another agent and they're like, oh yeah, I work with a lot of remote buyers too. And I'm like, oh yeah, so what do you do? And they're like, oh yeah, I go and videotape it. And I'm like, oh sweet. I was like, how long is it? And they're like, oh, I don't know, about three to 5 minutes. I'm like,
You
dude, you're
sprint through the
showing them a
house.
$500,000
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Like Like, I mean, I had some videos that were like 45 minutes, like, because
Yeah,
it's a detached garage, 4,500 square feet.
right.
Like, I take my
Take
time.
your time. I mean, yeah,
I
and
take
I'm
my
sure
time. And,
that's why people refer you, they use you, they trust you, is because you're understanding how big of a decision this is and saying, hey, let's
yeah,
not force this. Let's not, make a hasty decision here. Let's
right.
go through the process just like you. Because if they were an in-state person, you would take them and look at the house, and you'd walk around and look at
Yeah,
all the cabinets and look at all the closets, and you're like, why would you not do the same for the out-of-state clients? So
right. It's
that's
basically,
super cool.
and what they've said, it's like basically we're there. And
Hmm.
and I actually have one client that I helped move here, and they said, Steven, our next purchase, even if it's in town, we're doing the same thing.
That's
Like,
cool.
you're going to go videotape it because we grabbed a glass of wine, we
Yeah,
got some popcorn,
yeah,
we put it on our TV, and you just walked us through the house. We didn't have to worry about driving there. We
yeah,
didn't have to worry about getting outside. Like, we didn't have to get off of work to go look at this house. You went and looked
yeah.
at it and, sent it to me. And the other cool thing that I didn't really know about this was there had one client that I sent the video to. And I always, when I send the video, I send it as on YouTube as an unlisted video.
Yeah.
So you have to have the link, because everyone can get YouTube on their
Mhm.
TV or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I figured is the easiest way to send it. And I sent it to this client, and I went back and looked at the video, and it had like 30 something views. And it only been up for like 2 days. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap, I made this public.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah.
So I went back and looked, and it was like, it was unlisted. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. So I was talking to that client a couple days later, and I was like, hey, have you guys watched this video like 30 times? They're like, no, we probably watched it 4 or 5, but we sent the link to our friends, our family, so we
That's
can
super
get their
cool.
input on the house
Yeah.
too. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, dude, that's so cool that you're able to kind of get that input of, by sending that link to,
Yeah.
your mom, your dad, your cousins, your friends. And so, and then also they're able to see it multiple times
I
too.
was
So
just about to say that.
yeah,
Yeah, I think in my industry, like in at Buy Center Insurance, with every quote we send out, we send a video proposal. And I think of it as like I want you to sit down and think of me, sitting at your kitchen table just like they did in the 80s and 90s, because insurance agents were notorious for coming to your house and talking to your insurance about you. No one wants me to come to their house now because we live in a world where it just doesn't we don't do that, right? But I
right.
can send you a video where you can pull it up while you're watching dinner or eating dinner, or talking to your husband that late at night, and they're talking about the decisions for the day, and you can watch that video multiple times, because
Right.
I can guarantee you if I call you and give you a coverage, you're going to forget it. But if I say it in a video and you can rewind it, then it's like, oh, that's what that coverage was that he was talking about. So it's the exact same thing. It's such a powerful tool that I think can be translated to a lot of different businesses that maybe isn't. And I think it's cool that you're using it as a tool
Oh
for you.
yeah,
So
I mean, it works great for me too, because I might have a client that house didn't work for them, but then I have a client a couple days later that's like, hey, can you go look at this one house for me? And I'm like, I already looked at it, so
yeah,
I
yeah,
send them the
yeah.
link,
That's
so I don't have
super
to go
cool.
back.
Yeah, you're
And
building like
then
an archive.
yeah, I have an archive. I mean,
That's awesome.
to put it in perspective for you, because I know a number of houses I've looked at virtually for
Yeah,
clients. Over my 4-year career, I have looked at over 360 houses
that's crazy.
virtually.
That's
Like,
crazy.
I have a playlist on my
That's
YouTube, so
cool.
I can pull it up. It's
That's
crazy.
super cool. That's awesome.
It's nuts.
Well, let's jump into some more fun industry questions here. What is the most unusual or surprising feature you've seen in a house? I asked this, and I'm going to give you time to kind of think about it, because there's a Facebook page that I follow that's like real estate aid. I don't know what the page is, but it's like real estate aides posting or seeing things that they're like, can you believe this was in this house? So have you ever like walked in on something that you didn't expect, or a feature that you didn't know the house would have? Because I think those things are always
There,
really funny and interesting.
there was one, and I'm trying to remember if yeah, I think it was a stripper pole in the primary bedroom.
Yeah, that would be
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, that was, but there was another one that was kind of crazy too. Gosh, man, I forgot what it was.
Man, that's funny.
That's a great question though. I
Yeah,
saw a stripper pole, and it wasn't one of those like built-in ones. It was one of those ones that you can like tie or like
yeah. They like wrench,
yeah.
like you
So
twist
it
into
was
the yeah.
able. Yeah, 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 yeah. It was
That's
like
so
that.
crazy.
So I don't know. It looked like a stripper. We don't know for sure if it was a stripper pole or not. So
Right.
that's why I was kind of thinking. I was like, was
Maybe
it a stripper?
not, but
It looked like one. So
but
we're
it's
like,
always
dude,
fun to assume. And you're
yeah. I was
like,
like, dude,
well,
that's crazy.
yeah, that
That's
is crazy.
crazy. That's
That's
crazy.
so funny. That's funny.
But
Um,
yeah, no, I've seen some stuff that are left out. That's
yeah,
kind of crazy. Like toys that are for adults left out on
yeah,
nightstands.
Yeah.
That's I've seen that twice. That was kind of
Wow.
crazy.
And you're like, just yeah, they know you're coming.
I
It's
mean,
not
it
a
was
surprise
like I
visit.
understand if it was like in a drawer or
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I
Yeah.
mean, it was just like hanging
Out.
out, like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
on the
That's
nightstand.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty nuts.
that's insane. Yeah.
I walked up
Um,
to a guy that was passed out on
really?
his bed. Yep,
Wow.
yep. And that was kind of a sad story because I called the agent. I was like, "Hey, the guy's still there," and he goes, "Him and his wife are getting a divorce, and it's going really
Oh, that's
good."
so
So he was
sad.
just like, so
Yeah.
he's been hitting the bottle a little bit, but
Yeah, that stinks.
yeah.
That's sad.
So but that was kind of
That's
crazy too.
yeah, that is crazy.
Scared the crap
If you
out of me.
yeah, I bet
I thought he
so.
was dead.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be my first assumption. This is, and this might be a hard one to answer, but I found it interesting. So, if you could create one viral real estate TikTok, what would it be about? I know you've had some that went, and I know that yours are more in the sense of food, right? But
Yeah.
if you had an idea, you're like, man, if I could just shoot this one house, or if I could because you see people who do really big houses, and I think a couple months or years ago, I don't know, in Tulsa there was a really really big expensive house that went on the market. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
So
It
maybe
was
something like that where you're like, if there was something like an opportunity like that, what would it be?
mm, I would probably do. Man, there's this one house that I really wanted to film. It was a comedian's house that used to
Really?
live here. His kids went to Holland Hall. I forgot his name. It was his
That's
house
cool.
was in South Tulsa. It was like 15 million,
Oh
but
man.
you had to have like a private showing, and
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
wouldn't let me come film it.
Yeah.
Gosh, what was his name? Ah,
I did
crap,
that.
I forgot.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that that would be
Yeah,
something
yeah.
around here.
There's a comedian.
Was it a well-known comedian?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, gosh, what was his name?
I don't
Gosh
know.
darn it!
I'm
It
gonna
was
Google it real quick because it's driving me crazy.
yeah. Google it real quick. But anyway, his kids went to Holland Hall. He was divorced. His wife still lived here, but he kept his house because his kids were still in school. Um,
Was it
his son
Rodney
lived here.
Carrington? Is that
Yeah, that was
Rodney
him.
Carrington? That's
Yep,
cool.
yep,
That's super cool. Wow.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
he had his house listed here. I don't know if it ever sold, but
Yeah.
that was one house that
You're like, man,
yeah,
if I could make a video on it, that would be super cool.
that
Yeah.
would be awesome.
That's
That would
awesome.
be awesome.
Okay, let's jump into our two primary questions we ask every guest. What would your perfect day look like in green country?
In green country. Man, I like going experiencing new things. I like going to, special events. So, probably an ideal situation for me would be going to dinner at
Yeah,
a new local spot that I hadn't been to.
yeah.
Um, I like burgers, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of a little bit
Burgered
burnt out
out.
on burgers. So,
Yeah,
I love Cajun food. Um, so yeah, so I'm probably somewhere around in Cajun, and then also after that going to either a sporting event, so like a
yeah,
Tulsa Oilers hockey game, football, soccer game, or I just started going to like concerts and stuff.
yeah.
So that's really really cool. There's a really cool spot called the Lowdown, which is like a little jazz hall
Okay.
down in the basement of this in downtown. That's like really cool. It's like a speakeasy type thing.
Oh, that's cool.
So I went and saw a concert there that I'll be posting about here in probably next week. But
That's super
um,
cool.
yeah, so that'd probably be my ideal of like just going hanging out,
Yeah,
chilling.
that sounds like a fun day. Now,
Yeah.
if anyone follows you on social media, they know that if there was a giant pickleball tournament, you would definitely be there watching it, right? Because you're
Oh,
a huge
dude.
pickleball fan.
All right, yeah. That's the other thing is I'm a huge pickleball fan. So
Now, do you
they're
play
actually
pickleball? Because I think you do, right? Did you get
I
hurt playing
used
pickleball?
to I used to play a lot, and then I tore my
That's
Achilles, so
right.
I
I knew
don't
there was
play as
something.
much anymore because I'm just kind of nervous about going back out
Yeah,
there, and because it sucked,
yeah,
tearing your Achilles. But I started watching professionally after that happened. So I started watching professionals play, and then I go to different tournaments and watch them
yeah.
play, which is crazy. Like
It's
who
so
goes and
cool.
watch professional pickleball? And
Now let's hang on. Let's put a caveat on this because if people don't follow you, they don't know. You don't just go and watch, right? How do you go and watch? Could you explain it, maybe?
so yeah. So my favorite team is the New Jersey Fives, and their mascot is a clown. So
Yeah,
I go and I dress up as a clown, and I'm kind of like the team mascot. So, but it's really, really cool because I get to meet all the players because it's not obviously a big sport yet.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, I've gotten to talk to the number one
That's super cool.
women's and men's player in the world.
Yeah.
I've gotten to hang out and talk to a bunch of different professionals. And then also the owner of the New Jersey Fives, which I didn't know he was the owner until after the fact. I started following them because two of my favorite players was on that team.
Yeah.
But is Gary Vanderchuk. I don't know. Did you know this?
I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
insane, especially in what you do.
Yeah, so I actually have gotten to talk to Gary V like for 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
Here and there at different tournaments because no one goes to these tournaments, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who goes to a Major League Pickleball tournament, right?
Right.
But he goes occasionally, and so I'm
That's
there,
cool.
and so like I got a picture with him, and
That's
got
super
to talk
cool.
to him about social media, pickleball, and all
Yeah.
that other stuff.
Man, I just love when people have hobbies that maybe aren't mainstream that they're just all bought in on. Like I love it.
Oh,
It's super
dude,
cool.
it's so fun.
And then you also get to experience it at a different level, right? Like
Yeah, I mean,
like you're talking about.
dude, it's crazy. So like it's literally the way I describe these tournaments. It's like a high school track meet.
That's
Like
crazy.
you have like competitors just sitting next to you,
Yeah.
like walking around. You can go and watch them warm up and sit.
That's super
in the-
cool.
Like sit on the bench and just watch these guys warm up and hear
Wow.
what they're talking about. Like it's insane.
That's
It's
cool.
insane.
Well, I know there's a couple pickleball places opening up in Tulsa. I'm super
That's what I was
excited
about
about.
to say. Like I'll probably start playing a lot more. I just need to get in a little bit better shape.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to go. I've actually never played. I've tried one time,
Dude,
and
I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
you probably
Best.
would. You
I'm the
probably
best in
would.
Tulsa.
Well, I'll attack that Achilles if I have to.
You would. You would.
Okay, so last question here. What is one hidden gem in Tulsa or the surrounding green country area that most people need to experience? I think you're the man that could answer this question maybe better than anyone else because you have so many experiences. So think of one that maybe is not as recommended as some of the other ones, and not because it's not good, but just not known of. So
Yeah, so a couple of things. Well, number one would be actually in your neck of the woods over in Coweta,
Yeah.
T. Johnny's. I think it's some of the best Cajun food in this area.
shout out Mitch. He's a great guy. The
Yeah.
guy that owns it. I mean, he
Dude,
does a lot for the
it's-
community too.
Oh, he's great guy. Drives down to Louisiana once or
Crazy.
twice a week and grabs fresh crawfish
Yeah.
and all the good stuff. So that'll be number one. Number two is a place in North Tulsa area, a suburb just north of, or a small town just north of Owasso, actually, called Vera Jailhouse Grill. Little hole in the wall place.
Never heard of this. I'm gonna have to try it.
Vera Jailhouse Grill, and it's a great burger, fantastic burger. And then if you're looking for something at nighttime to go do, I would go check out the Lowdown, which is a jazz hall that I was just talking about, little concert venue that hosts local talent, and it's a nice, intimate little venue down in the basement of a restaurant. So
That's super
Yeah.
cool, man.
Low down.
Well, I think that the listeners definitely have something to, kind of put on their list over the next couple months that they can try to do. Well, hey, man, I appreciate the time. Let's close out with you kind of giving a shout out to your social media. Let people know where
Yeah.
they can find you, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Absolutely. So my name is Stephen Hester. I'm a realtor here in the greater Tulsa area. I have a YouTube channel that talks about everything in Tulsa. I also do some vlog style videos. So for example, I just did a big food challenge at Mother Road Market, which that's another little place that
Yeah, that's a
probably a
great
lot of
one.
locals have gone to, but
Yeah.
they have a food challenge called the Mother Load Challenge. I just uploaded that vlog a couple days ago, so go check out that. And then also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, you can look me up, Stephen Hester or the 918 Agent, and I post a lot of good content there for people to watch.
Yep. Well, Stephen, I appreciate the time. Everyone else, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. We're going to be uploading these videos, these podcasts every week. We're going to have people on that can experience and talk about Oklahoma in maybe a way you haven't, and you can follow along on the journey. Thanks so much.